everyone's go-to source for all NFL news.
Adam Schefter teased some big breaking news. Adam, you've told us about it. What do we got?
Adam's on the phone.
Yeah,
Adam,
some more,
Adam, you got more news? What do you got?
They're going with another move.
And he was the man who knows all, Adam Schefter.
And we're going to get right to some breaking news here that just came down. This tweet from Adam Schefter.
It's ESPN NFL insider Adam Schefter.
They still have a lot of good young players, so I don't think of them as I just don't think of them that way.
Adam Schefter on Jen, Gabe and Chewy is presented by Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. There is a difference. Also sponsored by Island Resort and Casino.
Oh, we are so excited to kick this off once again here on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy, our weekly appearances by our friend Adam Schefter. Adam, how you doing today, man?
Jen, Gabe, Chewy, do you have me now?
We gotcha. Apparently our loyal listeners could hear you. I'm assuming that sounded wonderful out there on the airwaves. They could hear Adam, and then I was saying, Adam?
Oh, so they could hear me, but you couldn't hear me? Is that how it was working?
I believe that is the case, yes.
Okay. Well,
all right.
We'll try to get that worked out for next week,
We are hoping here in the great state of Wisconsin, as there is a dispute between Spectrum and Disney, that we will be able to watch Monday Night Football on ESPN. What game are you most excited about week one? What are you looking forward to seeing? Who do you think is going to come out and make a statement week one?
You know what? To me, the great part about week one is you could give me whatever matchup you want, and I'm happy to watch it. You just don't know what you're going to see in that opening week, and there's always some surprise story. Like even last week, I don't watch a lot of college football, Jen, and I put on CU TCU, and I couldn't shut it off. Like I was drawn to that game in a way I never would have thought, to where I watched the whole thing, and by the end, I'm pulling for Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter and the rest of the CU Buffs. And so it's, in my mind, not all that dissimilar to this weekend. I go in thinking, boy, I can't wait for Bills Jets on Monday night, and I'm looking forward to the season opening tomorrow night, the Chiefs and the Lions, and the Steelers 49ers is a great matchup. They're all good in their own ways, right? Packers Bears, always a great rivalry. But the fact of the matter is, you're going to be watching these games on Sunday. I am. And there's going to be a game or a player or an issue that captures my attention, and I'm just going to be drawn to that. I don't know what it is yet. And I'm completely open-minded, just like I was this past Saturday when CU just had me totally riveted.
Adam, over the last couple months, there's been a lot of love coming out of the building there in Connecticut, and it's a lot different than the local narrative here. Why do you think that is about the Green Bay Packers in this upcoming season?
Well, the people you're saying in Wisconsin are not high on this team right now?
I would call it 50-50. You know, the people here definitely see this as a rebuild. We really don't know what Love's going to be. He was better than we thought in the preseason, but he's going up against number twos. And I think that goes to your point of what you just said. We don't know what we're going to get, but it seems in the building there, a lot of people are high on the Packers.
I am. I think they're going to be good. I think they're going to be – now, does that mean they're going to the NFC Championship games? Probably not. But do I think they're going to be better than people think? I do. Do I think they're going to win more games than people think? I do. Do I think they're going to be in contention for the NFC North title? I do. Now, we'll see whether they can win it, whether it comes together quickly enough. But, again, what we all know, the one huge change on this team that occurred at the quarterback position. Aside from that, many of the building blocks are still in place. So if you bring in a new young quarterback who's going to play the game in a little bit different way than the old quarterback, and the new quarterback is good, and he is what they hope and think he might be, then why shouldn't this team have similar success to what it's had in recent seasons? Why shouldn't it? Right? And in fact, I also think that there's a little bit of a chip. Like, they've heard everybody talk about how great the Lions are going to be and how good the Vikings have been, and how many people seem to be writing off the Packers, and just they've become something of an afterthought, I think. And I just don't view them that way. I think they're going to be better than people think. So We're going to find out. And that's another thing on Sunday, so we put it on. I might be just totally riveted by watching Jordan Love all day. I don't know. We're going to see how this works out.
About a week ago, Adam, the big name that was out there on a potential trade block was Jonathan Taylor. Ultimately doesn't get moved. The Packers end up being a surprise team. How interested do you believe the Packers were, and do you believe that ultimately Taylor does get moved?
Great questions, and what I would say to that is, look, there were only a couple of teams that were engaged in conversations with the Colts. One of them was the Miami Dolphins. I don't believe a trade ever got close there. And the other was the Green Bay Packers. And I don't think a trade got overly close there either, to be perfectly frank. You know, the Colts were looking and will be looking for the equivalent of first-round value, whatever that is. Now, it's not hard to go back to last year and look at what the 49ers gave up for Christian McCaffrey. That was a 2, 3, 4, 5. The 5 was in the next year's draft. Now, you could say, well, no, they didn't give up 1. No, but they gave up 4 picks. So if the Packers had offered hypothetically a 2, 3, 4, 5, would that have gotten to them? Probably. They didn't offer close to that right now. And the Colts weren't of the mindset right now to move him. And in my mind, there really are and have been 3 windows for a Jonathan Taylor trade. One was last week, team-imposed deadline, 4 p.m. Eastern on the final cut-down day last Tuesday. They did not get a deal done by then. They left him on the physically unable to perform list. Means he's out for the first 4 games this year, cannot play. So at the end of that period, those 4 games, he'll be back. I would think he'll be a little bit healthier. And my question is there a team out there in the next 4 weeks, a team that's winning, a team that's going to contend, a team that has playoff aspirations, that loses a running back to injury? Like, you could just go through and think of some of the contenders and what would happen if one of them were to unfortunately lose a starting running back. Who would be the first guy that everybody would think of? And when we were at this time last year, I don't think the 49ers were thinking about trading for Christian McCaffrey at this time last year. But they had some injuries at the running back position. It was not going the way they wanted. They needed to come up with a spark, and they traded for Christian McCaffrey, and it turned out to be a great move. Do I think that that's going to happen again this year? I think that could happen with Jonathan Taylor. He could be this year's Christian McCaffrey in October with a contender vying to pry him loose from Indy, which will not just give him away, because that would bring us to the third trade window after the season. If they can't trade him in October, and they didn't trade him last week, the last window would be, okay, well, then they tag him in the offseason and try to work out a trade then. So there's a little bit of the Jonathan Taylor future laid out, and now we just have to see how it unfolds.
Adam Schefter hanging out with Jen, Gabe, and Chewy this morning, as he will each and every week during the football season. Adam, one of the storylines that we saw cropping up during the preseason was that the league essentially collectively is starving for offensive line depth. Meanwhile, conversely, the Packers seem to have a lot of that, and other teams I know were salivating at the options that Green Bay has. Is anybody sniffing around? Is anybody looking or calling or interested in trading for some of those offensive linemen that the Packers have, or has that pretty much been put to bed now that the season's about to start?
You know, I never heard that teams were calling the Packers about offensive line. Like, there are a lot of conversations that occur amongst all the teams, all the front office executives, GMs are checking in with each other. And my understanding was that Green Bay had been looking for maybe another tight end, and maybe there were some discussions with a team that called, said, oh, we have a tight end, but we're looking for a swing lineman. Would you be interested? I'm sure those occurred, but it's not like, oh, I guess now that I'm answering this question, Jen, are you referring to David Bakhtiari, I guess, right? Like, specifically.
Well, it could be David Bakhtiari, could be Yosh Nijman. There's been talk of, some of those guys being trade bait.
Yeah. Offensive linemen are very valuable. They're, as you mentioned, there just aren't enough of them, and most teams need them. And I don't think teams are just in the business of giving offensive linemen away. Now, if they're loaded with depth, you could always review that. But I don't know too many teams that want to just willingly go trade offensive line, particularly when the season is just starting. And they have hopes for themselves that this is going to be a good year. So let's see how that goes before we're trading away any players that we feel might be able to help us this year. Now, if they're all of a sudden 2-5 in October at the Halloween trade deadline, and somebody's calling about an offensive lineman and offering a pick they can't turn, well, maybe at that point you'll listen. But I don't think that's something that appeals to you a tremendous amount right now.
Adam, speaking of offensive linemen, how are the Jets going to be this year?
Listen, I'm living in New York, so I'm surrounded by it, and I have tons of Jets fan friends, who are losing their minds. I would get regular texts on a daily basis during are we trading for Rodgers? Are we trading for Rodgers? Like they were part of it. And then once they traded for him, they're flipping out and going crazy. I would say this. Here's the thing about that team. The defense is really good. That people don't necessarily realize that. The defense is really good. And the offense has got some real good playmakers. And I think the offensive line isn't as weak as people thought. I think it's probably pretty decent. The problem that I think they have is that their division is loaded. You can make an argument for just about any team in that division winning that AFC East. The conference is ridiculous. There may never have been a conference that's more loaded than the AFC is this year. When you just think about it, right? Because, Miami's got Tua. Buffalo's got Josh Allen. Baltimore's got Lamar Jackson. Cincinnati's got Joe Burrow. Cleveland's got Deshaun Watson. Pittsburgh's got the upstart Kenny Pickett. Jacksonville's got Trevor Lawrence. Kansas City's got Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
The Chargers have Herbert. It is loaded. So to win that division and come out of that conference is going to take skill and luck, both, and good fortune with staying healthy. The Jets are good enough to do it. They really are. And Aaron sounds, acting totally revitalized. I mean, it's like somebody who got out of a marriage that starts dating and just falls in love again. It's like somebody that moves and finds this new great place that they just feel totally rejuvenated. He sounds like a new guy, he's got a second life and is loving it. And I think that's going to be reflected in this play. I think they're going to be very good.
Your Jets friends who are going absolutely bananas. One of them wouldn't be somebody that rhymes with Spike Meanberg, would it? As a show.
Well, I don't have to hear from him on the phone, though I have. We watch it on TV every day.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch. A long-suffering Jets fan feeling like this is their year. Shefty, we appreciate you hanging out with us. We're very much looking forward to having you each and every week. What are you saying, snaps?
Apps. I got to know, how many apps does Adam Schefter have?
Oh, God, that's a great question. How many apps do you have on your phone, Shefty, do you think? I have 149.
Wow. I've always been asked how many contacts I have on my phone. I've never been asked how many apps I have on my phone. I don't know. I probably only use 25 or so of them religiously. So
that's the other issue.
Do you think you have too many apps on your phone? Because Jen was asked to get a new app through the school of her children, and she's kind of drawing a line. The 149th app was one line too far.
What's the problem with adding another app, Jen? It's fine. You can do it. Go ahead.
I got too many. I gotta consolidate. I gotta downsize. It's too many. They all have notifications on them, and some of them they're not even notifying you for real things. They're just notifying you to be like, "Hey, we're still here. You haven't used us in a while. Are you sure you don't want to use us?"
Shut the notifications. Don't allow them.
I know, but then you're not getting the information. Then the teacher's like, "I emailed you on the app. Did you not get it?" I'm like, I didn't because I don't have notifications on. Was it a problem? No, it's just a tiny rash over half of her body. No big deal. You know what I mean? So I got to figure it out, Adam. I got a problem and I got to work through it.
Well, good luck with that. There are bigger problems in life than the number of apps and notifications that we have on our phones. I know,
and that's the thing. Adam always provides that perspective for us. So we appreciate you hanging out with us. Adam, have a great week. We'll talk to you again soon.
Jen, Gabe, Chewy, thank you very much. Look forward to it.
Adam Schefter here on Jen, Gabe and Chewy, brought to you by Island Resort and Casino, because everybody's talking about the Island Resort and Casino. It's the largest resort north of Milwaukee with gaming, dining, live entertainment, a luxury spa, and 2 championship golf courses. Visit islandresortandcasino.com to book your getaway today.